Dozens of Russian military trucks and fuel tankers have been destroyed along transport routes in southern Ukraine. That number may represent only the first visible layer of a much larger operation. These vehicles were not struck while leading an assault or crossing open ground toward a Ukrainian defensive line. They were hunted along the roads behind the front, the routes that Russia uses to move fuel, ammunition, equipment, and reinforcements toward units that are preparing to fight. The loss of a single fuel tanker can slow an entire chain of operations. A convoy forced to change direction can delay ammunition deliveries, reduce fuel availability for armored units, and leave frontline forces entering a planned engagement with fewer resources than the operation requires. This is why Ukraine's southern drone campaign is more strategically significant than a simple count of destroyed vehicles might suggest. Ukraine appears to be turning Russia's logistics network in the south into a battlefield of its own. To understand the value of this approach, it helps to think about what logistics actually means in a sustained ground war. A tank is dangerous. An artillery battery is dangerous. A battalion of infantry supported by armored vehicles is dangerous. But none of these things can function for more than a limited time without a constant flow of supplies moving toward them from the rear. Fuel keeps vehicles moving between positions. Ammunition keeps guns firing. Spare parts keep damaged machines operational instead of abandoned. Food and water keep soldiers capable of sustained effort. Medical supplies determine whether wounded personnel return to the line or become permanent losses. The logistics system is not the glamorous part of modern warfare. It does not appear in the footage of burning tanks or in the statistics of territorial gains. But it is the part that determines how long any force can sustain pressure and whether a planned offensive can be executed at the tempo and scale its planners intended. Ukraine's Nemesis UAV Brigade, alongside other defense elements, has been systematically targeting this supply system with a focus on the southern theater where Russia has been reinforcing for potential offensive operations around Huliaipole and Zaporizhzhia. The campaign is not structured around single spectacular strikes. It is built around sustained pressure, a persistent drone presence over the road networks and logistics infrastructure that connects Russian-controlled areas in occupied southern Ukraine to the rear supply base in Crimea and Russia proper. The most important road in this pressure campaign is the corridor connecting Mariupol through Melitopol towards Simferopol in Crimea. This is not simply a geographic description. It is a description of the primary supply artery feeding Russia's entire southern military operation. Mariupol gives access to the occupied coastal zone along the Sea of Azov. Melitopol functions as the major logistics junction for movement across the southern theater, the point where supplies from multiple directions converge and are redistributed toward active front sectors. Simferopol connects all of this traffic to Crimea, where Russia maintains military bases, storage facilities, airfields, and the command infrastructure that supports operations across the broader region. When these points are connected by a functioning supply corridor, Russia can move the weight of war across the south at the pace required to sustain a large offensive. When that corridor is under sustained drone pressure, the entire logistics calculation changes. The mechanism through which drone strikes damage this system is more complex than simple vehicle destruction. A destroyed fuel tanker does not only remove one vehicle from the fleet. It creates a burning obstacle on the road that forces following vehicles to stop, divert, or wait for clearance. It signals to every other driver using that route that the road is being watched, which changes the behavior of every subsequent convoy. It may represent the loss of enough fuel to keep multiple armored vehicles operational for a significant period, fuel that must now be replaced from the same strained supply system, at the same time, through the same threatened routes. A damaged ammunition truck has a different, but equally significant effect. The shells it was carrying cannot now reach the artillery batteries that were expecting them on a specific schedule. Those batteries may have to fire more conservatively, hold fire during windows when full suppression was planned, or wait for the next delivery while positions they were supposed to cover become more accessible to Ukrainian forces. The Nemesis UAV Brigade's campaign introduces a weapon system with a specific operational role that fills the gap between short-range FPV drones and long-range strategic strike systems. Short-range FPV drones are highly effective in the immediate vicinity of the front line, where operators can strike vehicles, infantry positions, and exposed equipment with direct visual guidance. Long-range strike drones can reach strategic targets deep in Russian-controlled territory, fuel depots, airfields, energy infrastructure, and command centers that sit far from any active front sector. Between these two layers, there is a zone of military activity that has historically been harder to threaten consistently. The area where convoys move between rear depots and forward distribution points, where fuel trucks stop to transfer loads, where supply vehicles gather before moving toward the last segment of their journey to the front. Ukraine's Nemesis campaign appears designed to bring sustained drone pressure into exactly this zone. The effect of this expanded threat is visible in Russian behavioral changes that have been documented through reporting on the campaign. Russian logistics commanders have been restricting the movement of heavy trucks on major routes and directing supply movements towards secondary roads in an attempt to reduce exposure. This adaptation has its own costs. A secondary road that appears safer because it is less commonly observed by Ukrainian reconnaissance may be narrower, slower, and structurally less capable of supporting the weight of heavy military logistics vehicles. Movement speeds decrease. Cargo volumes per trip decrease. The number of trips required to deliver the same total volume increases. Each additional trip creates additional exposure opportunities. The logistics system may still be functioning, but it is functioning less efficiently than it was before the drone pressure began, and that loss of efficiency compounds over the duration of an extended campaign. Reports indicate that Russian vehicles have been found and attacked after abandoning main roads and shifting to secondary routes. This suggests that Ukrainian drone coverage is not limited to a small number of known highways. The surveillance is broad enough to track vehicles even after they have made the behavioral adaptation of avoiding the most obviously monitored routes. For Russian logistics commanders, this creates a dilemma with no comfortable resolution. Staying on main roads offers the speed and carrying capacity needed to supply a large force, but exposes vehicles to routes that Ukrainian drones have demonstrated they are watching. Shifting to secondary roads reduces one type of exposure while creating another set of operational constraints. Spreading movement across many different routes reduces the vulnerability of any single convoy, while making the entire logistics system harder to coordinate and control. Every available option involves a trade-off that makes the supply system slower, more expensive to operate, or less predictable in its delivery timelines. The human dimension of this pressure matters as well. Drivers moving through a logistics network that is under active drone surveillance are operating under a level of risk that did not exist in earlier phases of the conflict. That risk changes behavior in ways that go beyond formal command decisions. A driver approaching a stretch of road where a vehicle was destroyed within the past several hours may slow down, stop to assess the situation, or choose to wait for a convoy to form rather than traveling alone. A mechanic assigned to a vehicle park near a known logistics hub is working in a location that has been demonstrated to be within Ukrainian drone range. Command personnel managing the logistics network are spending time and cognitive resources on route security planning that would otherwise go toward the tactical preparation that supports combat operations. None of these individual effects is decisive in isolation. Together, they represent a significant increase in the friction that Russian operations in the south must operate against. The timing of this campaign matters as much as its mechanics. Russia has been documented reinforcing the southern theater, with reports indicating the movement of additional marine units towards sectors where new offensive operations may be in preparation. This reinforcement creates a specific window of vulnerability for the logistics system supporting it. An army adding combat power to an existing front sector needs more fuel because more vehicles are being operated. It needs more ammunition because larger forces are conducting more fire missions and requiring more prepositioned stockpiles before an attack. It needs more transport capability because more personnel and equipment are moving through the same road network. It needs more gathering points where units can form and be organized before entering combat. All of these requirements stress the same logistics system that is already being hunted by Ukrainian drone operations. If Ukraine can maintain or increase the pressure on supply routes during the period when Russia is reinforcing and preparing before the offensive begins rather than after, the potential effect is significant. An assault that launches with reduced fuel availability for its armored elements is less mobile and less able to exploit tactical success before Ukrainian defenders can reposition. An attack that begins with artillery operating on reduced ammunition stocks is less capable of the suppressive fires that cover the advance of assault elements and degrade Ukrainian defensive positions before infantry closes. A reinforcement that arrives at the staging area through a logistics system that has been disrupted and made inefficient may have less time to prepare, less equipment in serviceable condition, and less command confidence in the supply chain's ability to sustain the operation once it begins. This is the strategic logic that makes Ukraine's drone campaign in the south more than a series of truck strikes. It is an attempt to shape the conditions of Russia's next offensive by attacking the infrastructure of that offensive before it launches. Military history consistently demonstrates that the side that controls the logistical tempo of a campaign, that can supply its own forces reliably while disrupting the opponent's ability to do the same, tends to control the pace of operations. Ukraine is not trying to match Russia's numbers of vehicles, soldiers, or artillery pieces. It is trying to make Russia's larger numbers less operationally effective by targeting the system that allows those numbers to be used. A truck that does not reach the front is as strategically valuable to Ukraine as a tank that has been destroyed at the trench line, and it is considerably cheaper to stop. The race between Ukraine's drone campaign and Russia's ability to adapt the logistics system to operate under pressure is ongoing. Russia has shown the capacity to adjust, shifting routes, reducing vehicle sizes, adding escorts, and increasing the use of nighttime movement. But each adaptation comes with costs that constrain the system further. The sustained character of Ukraine's Nemesis campaign, combined with the introduction of drone systems capable of covering the middle distance between the front line and the deep rear, suggests that this pressure is intended to be maintained through the period when Russia is most vulnerable to its effects, the preparation phase before a southern offensive that has not yet begun.